Halo Combat Evolved is without a doubt one of the greatest shooter campaigns in FPS history, and may be my personal favorite. Does it have flaws? Of course, but there's no denying the quality of the experience and the impact the game had on the overall industry as a whole. Halo is definitely my favorite franchise of all time, so it is both an honor and a privilege to finally begin my mission rankings for all Halo games. A few quick ground rules before we start. I'm focusing mostly on gameplay here. In-game storytelling and visuals can also help, but are not the focus. And finally, out-of-game cutscenes don't really count. I may be a little inconsistent with these, but since this is my list, I can be. But I will do my best, and you will kind of get a feel for how I'm judging these missions as we go along and what counts and what doesn't. So, let's get started. So starting off our list is, you guessed it, Halo. Just kidding. It's the library, obviously. Without a doubt, this is one of the worst missions in all of Halo. I won't spend too much time on this one since we know why it's at the bottom. Grinding through samey hallways against Combat Evolved's worst enemy isn't exactly a fun time. Honestly, as a shotgun connoisseur, this could have been a guilty pleasure of mine had it been on floor maybe 2, with slightly more variety. However, as it stands now, it's 4 floors of repeated copy-pasted, boring black hallways where you use the shotgun 90% of the time and the pistol the other 10%. With no interesting choices to make, it's absolutely chore to play. And it's made worse by the knowledge of the objective you are trying to achieve, the index, is right in front of you from the very beginning. But video game logic says you have to go all the way up 4 floors in order to come back down and get it. Yeah, this was clearly Bungie padding the length of the game. But there has to be some good, right? Yeah, actually there is. The level's dark and creepy, goo icks from all surfaces. It shows the power of the Flood, not just in terms of numbers, but also the fact that they were able to overtake that which was supposed to contain them and heightens the fear factor from a narrative standpoint. And I like those blue things. Yeah, let's just move on. Coming in at number 9 is by far C's most forgettable mission, and that's Keys. I don't hate Keys, I just find it bland. It's extremely short. Only Pillar of Autumn is a faster playthrough, and I also think of the 3 missions to take place on a map that was already used, Keys executes it the worst. I will talk about the others when we get there, but as for Keys, I think part of the problem is it really doesn't use the Flood to its full advantage. It's slightly darker and creepier this trip around, and there's more blood and stuff. There's just no excuse that we spend another whole mission chasing after Keys on the same ship. And the Flood just don't add enough to the overall gameplay experience. They actually detract more than they add. Another issue I have with Keys is there are too many explosions. Plasma grenade chains combined with carrier forms is not the best idea. It means that any given time, even at a full health and shields, you can be blown halfway across the map to your death. It also feels like enemies are always closing in from all angles, which is A, annoying, and B, leads to some checkpoint issues in regards to the game detecting you as not safe. The outdoor areas are fun, but there's just no way around the fact that this is a shorter, massively less creative Truth and Reconciliation with too much emphasis on the Flood. I'm going with the Pillar of Autumn in the number 8 spot. Some of you may say that this is too low for the first mission in Halo history. However, for me, Pillar of Autumn has always felt like a glorified tutorial. It's fun to experience Halo gameplay at its simplest and most basic form. Only elite majors and minors and grunt majors and minors. Only the assault rifle, pistol, plasma rifle, and plasma pistol. It just feels clean. Pillar of Autumn also does a much better job than a lot of other intro linear levels by still giving players plenty of interesting flanking routes in order to spice up the gameplay and still allow the player plenty of choice. And yeah, there's still a lot of nostalgia here. Just booting up a new playthrough and stepping out of the crowd tube is just so amazing. 2 quick negatives here before we move on, however. Number 1 is it's just too easy, which is fine for the first time players, but returning players, it's just such a cakewalk. For example, if you beat the game on Heroic and play through it again, even if it's months later, you're still going to blow through this mission. And while it's understandable and possibly an unavoidable issue, it is an issue nonetheless. What is not so understandable is this mission's visuals. On the remaster, the ship kind of looks like Chuck E. Cheese's. And on the old graphics, it's just so bland. I know they were going for a military, familiar look, but that doesn't mean it has to look that bland. And when you update the look of something, it doesn't mean you throw a bunch of yellow and bright colors on a military ship. Compared to the gorgeous and unique environments the rest of the game possesses, it's just a shame that this one is just so lacking. So yeah, the Pillar of Autumn might be a glorified tutorial, but it's a damn good one. The 7th best mission in Halo Combat Evolved is one that I'm extremely conflicted on, and this mission is 343 Guilty Spark. I know some of you would put it much higher, but just hear me out. From a narrative standpoint, this mission is phenomenal. I mean, the in-game storytelling is some of the best in video game history, good enough to rival if not best games like BioShock. from the dark, wet swamp to the seemingly cozy Forerunner structure, to slowly revealing things like the blood-splattered jackal and the goo dripping from the ceiling, red lights, Mendoza pointing his gun at you. I can go on. And then you get the cutscene. You know the one. While it's the longest cutscene in the game, it is also one of the best. The reveal through the Marine's helmet was an excellent choice. And of course, the flood bursting through that door is one of the best moments in all of gaming. But the mission's second half falters. Almost every mission in Halo Combat Evolved suffers from navigational issues in some capacity, but nowhere is it more evident than in 343 Guilty Spark. What should have been a crazed sprint to escape the flood and get back to your Pelican turns into wandering around hallways, wondering where you're supposed to go. Also, Covenant encounters in this mission, even though there's only a few, are really only there because we know the Covenant are supposed to be there, and aren't there because they're fun from a gameplay standpoint, as the elites being absent makes these encounters a lot less engaging. And I can't mention this mission without talking about the blood-covered elevator and the broken elevator. Both great touches that just add so much to the atmosphere. So 343 Guilty Spark is ultimately a Marvel show-don't-tell in gaming storytelling that falls apart at the end and is boring from a gameplay standpoint. I know number 6 is also going to make some people mad, but please keep in mind that all 6 of the following missions could be in a different order. This is just how I would personally list them. So think of these as the golden missions, these top 6, some of the best in all of Halo and FPS. So I think of the golden missions, the Truth and Reconciliation is the weakest. I think this mission's greatest strength is the contrast between the open stealth sniping at the beginning and the close quarters brawl in the ship. However, I do wish the ratio was the other way around. For me, the open night sniping ends too quick, and you fight all the way through the ship, get the captain, and backtrack through half the ship again. Meaning the larger portion of the mission is the interior fight. Speaking of the captain, this little pussy dies so easily and is so infuriating. Can't you at least pretend to defend yourself? I know you're not a soldier, you're ship captain. I mean, you don't even keep ammo in your pistol, but come on, have some respect for yourself. Also sees navigational issues rear its ugly head in this mission. The ship is a chore to navigate. I still remember wandering aimlessly around it for an hour the first time I played through this game. Gameplay, however, has great variety. I already talked about the contrast in engagements, but Truth and Reconciliation also has great variety of enemies. This is the first time we encounter hunters, both in an open, outdoor environment and enclosed ship. We also see stealth elites for the first time in an honestly terrifying Belly of the Beast fight. Even to this day, the fight keeps me on an edge. I never know when one of those is just going to sneak up and slice me open with his energy sword from behind. These two new enemies are still combined, of course, with the normal assortment of grunts, elites, and jackals. I think it was wise to take the pistol away in this mission. It makes the player have to learn to use the sniper and overall try out some new weapon combinations. From a visual standpoint, Truth and Reconciliation also has great variety. From the, I think we added a little too much grass in this desert in the remaster, but still gorgeous, almost oasis look in the outdoors bathed in moonlight, to the pure alien and foreign pinks and purples and light blues of the interior. The Truth and Reconciliation gives players two distinct yet equally interesting aesthetics. So the Truth and Reconciliation has some of the funnest gameplay in the entire campaign in that opening sniping nighttime mission, and is contrasted really well with some interior gunfights, and has great aesthetics overall. Ultimately, it might not have the ratio the way I want it, but it is ultimately a solid entry into Halo Combat Evolved. Number 5 is the ultimate hit-or-miss mission maybe in all of Halo, so naturally, it comes in at exactly the halfway point for me. But keep in mind, all these top 6 missions I hold in extremely high regard, and this mission is, of course, 2 Betrayals. Now, I know what half of you are going to say. It's just Assault on the Control Room backwards, but that isn't entirely true. Due to the change in enemy choice, aka using the Flood, the mission plays entirely different. Yes, it would have been nice to have a unique play space, but it doesn't ruin this mission for me. The reason I'm so high on 2 Betrayals is that, in a lot of ways, it's the climax of the game. This mission is the only one in the game that offers the full weapon sandbox and vehicles combined with both Flood, Covenant, and Sentinels in a wide open play space. This is where everything all comes together for one amazing battle. 2 Betrayals also utilizes multiple factions better than any other mission in CE. Do you help the Covenant, the Flood, or do you let them whittle themselves down and watch from afar? What about the Sentinels when they're in the mix? There's just so many options and variety. 2 Betrayals also excels from a visual standpoint. The snow falling in the moon-bathed night is also very appealing and contrasts with Assault on Control Room. What 2 Betrayals suffers from, however, besides ripping its play space from Assault on Control Room, is the objective. Two Betrayals is really when C's plot starts falling apart, and using your shields as an EMP just makes it so much harder to get invested in our task, as compared to an objective that makes more sense. Overall, Two Betrayals could have been so much more, but as it stands, it's an excellent sandbox mission that serves as one of CE's highlights. The Mall is the only mission that reuses the map that actually has a reason to. It ends where it begins. This is one of the first times we saw Bungie really going full circle, and they would prove to use that technique very effectively over the next 9 years. This mission has everything, Sentinels, Covenant, and the Flood all fighting at the same time, and is an awesome way to end it. The fight in the engine room is also one of my favorites in the game, and uses an area that we didn't fight in Pillar of Autumn. And of course, you can't talk about the Mall without talking about the Warthog Run. What a way to cap off a game. Great music, a time limit, an actually interesting and challenging course that has multiple ways of completing. The Warthog Run often leaves me experimenting with different strategies and paths to try to complete it quicker. While it may have not been a massive outdoor level or have any vehicle sections besides the Warthog Run at the end, the Mall is a solid way to cap off one of the best FPS games of all time. For number 3, I'm going with another hit-or-miss mission, and that is the Assault on the Control Room. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yes, I know, this mission has copy-pasted rooms. 9 times. Little gray square room. I know. And trust me, I hate that little square room as well. 1 time, awesome. It is actually a really cool design. 3 times? Okay, roll 3 is fine. The room is small. I would like to play through it again anyways. 5 times? This is too many. 7 times? Ridiculous. 9 times? And you must be combat evolved. That room, the bridge, and so many areas of this mission are copy and pasted for padding, and it's ridiculous. Well, wait, so why is it number 3 on your list? Well, regardless of reused arenas, it's still actually one of the best levels. For starters, it's the only tank mission. I mean, need I say more? Getting a Scorpion and sending Covenant to Kingdom Come in a fun yet challenging environment is awesome to say the least. But if you need me to say more, I can. It also has sniping, and infantry on tank, and infantry on air, and infantry on infantry, light vehicle on tank, tank on tank, tank on air, tank on infantry, light stealth, and you get the idea. I could keep going. Just awe-inspiring variety in the open-ended design. Would less padding be nice? Of course. But what Assault on Control gives us is the penultimate climax of the opening half of CE, the Covenant War. This is where the UNSC versus Coveys all comes together in one big battle. And I mean big. This map is quite vast. And what kind of sci-fi adventure would this be if you didn't have a big-ass battle in the snow? Now, I'm a sucker for snow environments, but Assault on Control Room's Forerunner Dark Grays just look really good with the bright white snow and frosted evergreen trees. Great stuff, man. So this is an excellent climax to the first half of CE's campaign. So numbers 1 and 2 could probably be switched if you really felt that way, but for me, I thought about it and I kind of like the order I have them in. At number 2, I'm going with Halo. While the Pillar of Autumn was technically the first Halo mission, Halo was the spiritual one. Stepping out onto that ring and looking up into the sky is one of the greatest moments in all of gaming. The lush greens in the Forerunner structure really creates a great aesthetic. The waterfall, the open skies with banshees flying around, the music, the dropships. This mission just has so many great memories associated with it. You also can't deny how much freedom and options it gives you. Being able to rescue Marines in different order and in different ways is excellent. Speaking of excellent, I also think I need to give a shout out to the defense section in the first Forerunner structure. It is one of the best designs and most engaging encounters in Halo, despite just being a defense section. It's awesome how well this wide open mission is contrasted with Halo's opening. This mission was the beginning of a whole new world of gaming, and it is stuck in the hearts of many, including me, and will continue for generations to come. And at number 1, the best mission in Halo Combat Evolved, one of the most beloved FPS games of all time, I'm going with the Silent Cartographer. From the beach landing all the way to the escape, the Silent Cartographer is arguably Halo at its best. It took me a long time and a lot of thinking to put my finger on what separates this mission and makes it so amazing. For starters, I think something that I really love about this mission is that everything feels seamless and natural. This isn't the tank mission or the Warthog mission, it's just Halo. Open, with lots of different sandbox elements and a whole island to explore. This is also the first time we had a Halo mission where most of the pillars of Halo's sandbox were firing. 4 different colored elites, 2 types of grunts and jackals, each respectively, hunters, vehicles, and almost all the weapons, all on an open map with mid, short, and longer range encounters, with the freedom to play how you want it. That is honestly why I think this mission is remembered as fondly as it is. Firsts are special, and both Halo and the Silent Cartographer are 2 of the real firsts in the Halo franchise. Silent Cartographer also has awesome scenery. Whether you are on the beach or deep within the Forerunner structure, the visuals are absolutely gorgeous. Luckily, this area was not used again, which allows it to remain fresher on each playthrough. Silent Cartographer is one of the greatest missions in Halo history, and is most definitely deserving of my #1 spot in Halo Combat Evolved. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it if you made it all the way through the video. If you want, leave your list down below, and as always, if you could just give a quick sentence or two. I know no one likes longer comments, but just a little bit of a reason as to why you put it there. I always consider the why more important than the where when it comes to these ranking lists, which a lot of people don't seem to necessarily agree with or follow. But it would be really awesome to read some of your guys' lists if you're a Halo fan. And thanks for watching and making it through. I will see you guys next time for the Halo 2 mission rankings.